Thanks for joining Sales with Suli, a mom of three who spent the last 12 summers knocking doors. Welcome to my podcast, where I talk about all things women, the ups and downs of my journey, and what it takes to find success on and off the doors. Enjoy this episode. Hey ladies, friends, guys, welcome back to this week's episode. This one was not planned. I actually had something else set up and to chat about, but I just feel super inclined to just talk about this today. I had just gotten back from a leadership retreat for my company this past weekend, and part of the retreat was me just speaking about women and giving some feedback. And towards the end, I was leaving just feedback just for women. And I've been thinking about it over the past couple of days, since I've left, just kind of reflecting. I've had several people reach out to me over the last few days, even last few weeks. And just kind of sharing experiences of their male managers on the team, or just leadership opportunities, and ways of being able to just moving up in the space. And so this episode, it's more of a, I do want to leave some tips, but it's more of a gratitude podcast. So this morning, after I had given this training on some of the things that we as women do, I just kind of want to share an experience. It was even me being a leader and a woman advocate in this space. I too need to be reminded of the importance of showing up, the importance of wanting to be at the same table as men. And I was definitely held accountable this morning. I was kind of caught off guard as, I ended up getting into a partnership. We had kind of a discussion on things that, my leader felt would be great for the company, and things that wouldn't, just kind of giving me the space and the opportunity to just grow and do my thing, but always making sure that I have the company and my leader's best interest in heart. And so what I thought was something super simple that I made a decision about, looking back and reflecting after getting yelled at and getting some feedback, I'm holy cow, this is what I'm going to be asking women to do regularly, is accepting feedback from our male leaders, taking it, owning it, and being able to move forward because we want to be at the same table. So I'm grateful for the male leaders in my space who are basically holding me accountable, on and off the doors. And that's kind of what I want to talk about today. Some of the things that I talked about in this leadership training was how often are women at the table or at the discussions of, CEOs, VPs, team leaders, management. If you were to just look at your current office, look at your current company, how many women are up there? And so when I gave this training, it was more so of giving the accountability to men, but I want to stand up and give the accountability to us as women. How often are we bringing value to the table so that it's going to be, so that men are wanting to invite us to the table? And what I mean by that is, how often do we have great, we have a lot of things to say. We have a lot of suggestions. We're either complaining to, the other girls on the team, or we're complaining about the way that a service is, or about the way that the company, the way that the company is being ran. how many of us women are actually coming up with ideas and suggestions that would benefit the team, that would benefit the company, that would benefit each other. And as I had just finished another episode with an awesome girl, it reminded me the first several years when I started in the door-to-door space, and I fed in to the concept of men or women are just super emotional. We're just so catty. Like we're just so drama. And not to say that guys aren't these things as well. They're just better at hiding it than we are for sure. They can just move on a lot quicker. But I want to ask ourselves like that question today. Like, how easy is it for us to talk about, you know, another woman in alarms or pest control or solar who's doing a little bit better than us? Like, how often are we talking about last year's manager or last year's team or last year's XYZ? I feel like we as women, we sit in some of those spaces a lot longer than we need to be. And so this episode is more so for those of you who want growth, including myself. I have recognized over like the past years just how unapproachable, surprisingly enough, for those of you guys who don't know me a lot on a personal level, is that sometimes I'm not approachable, and it could make it intimidating for men and for leaders that just don't want to hurt my feelings. And so for those of you men out there who are wanting to bring more women to the table, for those of you men out there who are showing us the path to be able to be at the top with you, like, thank you. Thank you for those men in my life who are holding me accountable, even though I've been in the door-to-door space for the last 14 years. Today was just a growth day for me. And I did sit in my emotions for a little bit, cried about it, complained about it. And I want to say for those of you leaders, male leaders specifically out there, to keep doing it. And so some of the suggestions that I have for you women who's reached out to me and, you know, wanting to jump companies because maybe you don't feel valued there, or wanting to be on a different team because you just felt like things weren't going your way, or maybe not wanting to be with that car partner because they're just not like you. And for that, the suggestions that I'm going to bring is taking the time to reflect on you, as a woman, to reflect on you as a person, as a human, and decide every single day, like, what opportunities and what space, like, what value are you going to bring? It's just so much easier for us to complain, to cry, to be emotional, that we kind of forget the power that we do have if we do join forces with each other. As I'm sitting and chatting with like other women in the space who do have leadership roles, one specifically, like this morning, we were talking about, I shot her a text, like, I want to show men that women aren't snakes. And the funny thing is, there are some women who are. And the reason why some men or women may feel that is just like, how transparent are we being with our leaders? How transparent are we being with ourselves? Like, how transparent are we being with each other? And for me, I want to see more of you in leadership roles. I would rather be giving more opportunities to women in the door-to-door space than men, but how many of us are going to backbite each other? How many of us, as soon as things like go wrong or we feel like that woman doesn't match our personality, that we're going to go run and try to figure out something else on another team. And so I do want to leave with some of the tips that I did give to some of the women on my team and some of the women that I'm wanting to grow into leadership roles in the door-to-door space. And some of those tips and feedback that I do want to give to those of you women who do want financial freedom, for some of you women who do want to use door-to-door space as a vehicle for whatever your dreams are going to be, is invite yourself to the table, create value. And what I mean by creating value is just coming up with more solutions than problems. For me, one of the biggest things that I talk to the women about on my team, or who I'm looking for as far as like leadership roles, is when we're complaining, when we're talking about all the things wrong, like door to door is not perfect. No team is perfect. No company is perfect. I have just as much issues and dramas as maybe your team or someone else's team, but there's definitely going to be a place or a time. And what I mean by that, for us as women, it's going to be a lot easier for us to complain to each other and complain to people who aren't in upper management level. That one big thing that I would suggest is being able to find those people that you can trust in leadership and always bringing your value and suggestions to them. Like, how often are we complaining to our car partner who can't make a difference? How often are we complaining to, another teammate who's not going to be able to change the situation? What I want to see more of is us being able to be transparent with each other, with our male leaders in the industry, but being able to handle and accept when we are being given feedback. I'm just thinking back to just this morning, and after having my son, I've just become a lot more emotional and a lot more in tune with the feminine side in me, that it's just a lot easier for me to cry and bring my emotions. But for me, it's definitely a good thing. And I bring that up because I want more of us women to be able to accept feedback. If we know that we've done something wrong, if we know that we need to change, if we know that we are meant to be in this space, let's accept feedback from our managers. Let's be open enough to where the men feel comfortable enough to come and tell us things that we're doing wrong, to come and give us suggestions, to be truly open. And just over like the last month, like me being able to have that with someone like the male leaders in my industry, or in my company, it's just made all the difference for me to grow. It hurts. It's hard. But I know that if I want to make it to be an above average leader and to be an advocate for women in this space, that it's going to start with me. How am I accepting feedback? How am I bringing value to the table? How am I being able to bring other people to the table that's going to be able to bring value to the company that I'm in? So again, some of the tips that I do want to leave: bring value. And yes, that's going to come with your production. Yes, that's going to come with, accepting you as the person that you are, and loving yourself. Yes, that's going to come with accepting feedback from your VPs, accepting feedback from your managers, accepting feedback from your leaders. Their feedback that they're giving to you is not for you to take personally. We know that we've decided to be in this space, so let's be here. Let's accept feedback and be able to take this opportunity to be able to grow with the men and be able to take a lot of us, bring a lot of us up there too. So again, I just want to thank you male leaders out there in this space who just are creating an opportunity and an environment for us women to be at the table. Like, thank you to those leaders out there who are taking the time to get to know the women on the team. Thank you to those men out there who are recruiting women, who are inviting them, who are showing them exactly what they need to do to be able to be a team leader, to be a VP, to be a CSO, to be a whatever opportunities that you have in your space. Thank you for taking the time to be able to show women how to get there. And if you're not, I promise you, leaders out there, if you sit and if you give a roadmap to those women on your team, whether you see potential in them or not, let them be the deciding factor of if they're good enough. But I promise, if all of you men in your guys' recruiting platforms or in your guys' companies, if you guys give a platform to women of exactly what it's going to take to be a team leader, to be a market leader, to be a VP, to be a CSO, to be a VP of sales or whatever titles it is that you guys have, you guys are going to be surprised at how many of us are going to be knocking on the doors and showing up. And for those of you women who are kind of struggling and kind of like, hey, I want to run a team. Hey, I want to move up the ladder. Hey, I want to be able to do those things. It's going to start with checking yourself and taking a look at how transparent are you? What value are you bringing? And how open are you to the management on your team? Thank you again for those people who are just taking the time to be able to help me continually grow on a regular basis. And again, for those of you women who are wanting leadership roles, go ahead and reach out to me for some of the tips and ways that I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to bring value, not only to my company and to my team, but for the value that I'm hoping and praying that I'm going to continue to bring to all of us women here in the door-to-door space. Thanks for taking the time to tune in. If I've added any kind of value to your thoughts on knocking doors, please share this podcast with another female rep. Until next time, know that you are capable, you are valued, and most importantly, you are enough.